Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Invitation to a Conversation with your host, Pamela Bailey. I hope everyone had a blessed week. My returning guest today is City Manager Regina McDuffie. Hello, Miss McDuffie. How you doing today?
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Um, we're going to start off with, can you tell me what is going on in the city of Brunswick since the last time you've been here?
Well, just a few things, I think. I know the last time we were here, we talked a lot about the SPLOST and the sales tax. And of course, we've gone through our budget process, which, our fiscal year starts on July 1st. So we completed our budget process. The commission passed the budget on June 16th, and we, started the budget year this week. I was very excited that the commission supported all of the initiatives that were put in the budget because there were some increases in personnel and increase in spending. And, I was glad that they felt confident that, we were able to support the plan that was presented. I guess, guidance to them was that we are investing in Brunswick because I feel like we need to invest in our community. We have a lot of other people coming in. They are investing their money. They are developing properties. So we need to, strongly invest to support the investments that we have coming into the community. The budget does include additional personnel, which, oftentimes it's hard to recommend additional personnel. Usually you're pretty strapped for paying for the personnel that you have, but I felt it necessary for, the budget in order for the city to accomplish some of the goals that we're setting to have additional personnel. So we have additional personnel that's going to be in our planning and development department, which will help with our plan reviews and with our building inspections. And I don't, hopefully, sometimes tragedy strikes, but things happen but it kind of brings things to light. And just thinking about the issue that, the city of Surfside, Florida is dealing with right now, a lot of that hinges on, building inspection and building maintenance. And oftentimes, developers and construction people and contractors, they push back when we try and, enforce our building codes, but the building codes are there for a reason. And, that tragic situation, not to say it couldn't be, prevented or what happened, but, that's why we have building codes, is because we want structures to withstand, time. We want them to be safe for people to live in, to work in, and that kind of thing. So, as I said, things like that, they are tragic, and we certainly don't want to see them happen. But hopefully, people will learn that there's a reason that we do inspections, that we want to inspect properties, that we want properties to meet the building standards. And to say that we are trying to reinforce our efforts so that we can support the development that's happening in Brunswick. And we did add a position to our planning department for that reason. The other position we added was in our CDBG area, which is our housing. And I think I talked a lot more about housing before, because housing is one of our primary initiatives. I really want to see, better home ownership, better rental properties, better standards of living in the city of Brunswick. So I incorporated a new CDBG manager who is going to take over and really hopefully, have that program work more effectively for the city of Brunswick by having more reconstruction, rehabilitation, and work, stringently on the housing issues that we have in the community. So that was the second position. Um, Also added a position in the economic and development area, because we see a lot of economic development going on in in the community, and we want to stay on top of it. We want to be proactive. We want to, when people come to the community looking for, I guess, opportunities, we want to be able to provide them the proper information that's needed for them to move forward in their business development, and things like that. Plus, there's a lot of money that the federal government have available to local governments for different areas, transportation, housing, homelessness, just a lot of money out there. And we want to make sure we are, tapping into as much as we can. And we need people, kind of to look at those money that's available, and be able to vet through that process, and kind of present that information and gather the information needed for us to not only apply for the money, but also be able to administer the grants, and basically use the money properly and bring the money into the community. So that position will help us with those endeavors, and also keep us on track with any development that's coming through the Redevelopment Authority for the city. So in addition to that, we have two internal positions that we added, which was the HR, in our HR department, in our IT department. In HR, I am very keen on being supporting our employees, and the city of Brunswick. I think we I want us to do a better job of being support mechanisms for our employees. We need a better health and wellness program. We need to make sure, we are properly providing resources for our employees. I would love for our employees to be part of our home ownership initiative, helping them, the ones that are not homeowners right now, to work towards that. And just being able to, provide better resources and benefits for our employees. So hopefully our HR department will start effectively supporting our employees a lot more. And then IT, of course, I don't have to tell you about the technological needs of the community. I think the pandemic really showed how IT is such a, part of our infrastructure. And we're certainly wanting to, support that infrastructure, as well as be able to have security in what we do. We've had some recent glitches in our email security and things like that. And certainly our IT department, they have over 180 units of equipment that they support right now. And before I got here, it was only one person. And I was like, you can't do that. I mean, the person, he was getting burnt out, and, basically couldn't keep up with what we were trying to do. So, and the pandemic basically just exponentially, increased the amount of technological support that was needed. So those are some of the initiatives that we're looking at in the budget. And, like I said, I'm very excited that the commission approved the budget, and we'll be moving forward with, making things more efficient and effective.
That sounds like a very good plan, and it helps with employee retention. It helps with employees doing better at their job, making sure that they crossed all their T's and dotted all their I's, and be more efficient throughout the process of doing their job every day. That sounds like a very good plan. Wherever you go in Brunswick recently, you see development happening. How is Perry Park Place coming along?
Um, well, Perry Park, I mean, it's coming along very well. I'm very excited about that unit. It's very similar to the Norwich Common unit. And I think that kind of proved to people that you can have affordable housing and low income housing in a community. And it can be, of value. It can bring value to the community. And I think, hopefully that unit will be just a really good, another good example of, providing housing to people that's, very, I guess, needed in the community. So yeah, it's coming along really well. And I'm not sure what their timetable is in terms of the completion at this point, but I think it's, at least within the next 3 to 5 months.
And I don't know whether this is in the city or the county, but it's Brumpton Lofts down on 519 Norwood Street, which is being developed. Is that part of the city?
Um, is that the old hospital building you're talking about?
I believe so.
Yeah, it is. It is in the city, definitely. Yeah, that's from what I've been told, it was the Brunswick Hospital. And there are 25, I think, units that are being developed in that building. There are lofts and one bedroom. I think they may have a two-bedroom, units that are being developed. They have a campus sort of environment where, it's contained, that they said they would have an outside courtyard area. And certainly, just looking at drawing some young professionals to the community. So yeah, that is within the city. It's another 25 units. And, I'm really excited about that as well.
You have made a big difference in such a short period of time becoming city manager, and I applaud you for your efforts and your leadership for coming in, analyzing and investigating and doing your verification of whatever
Yeah, I
is
think,
needed.
one of the things that I really try to do is to just move things forward. I think sometimes places get stuck on making decisions on things, and trying to make the best decisions possible, to move things forward, to not have things stagnate, and to make some, decisions about things that need to be improved, things that need to, be done. I think, that's clearly what I try and look at is how impactful is this going to be on the community, and just really move things forward. I get frustrated a lot with the state processes because sometimes they, slow us down. They kind of put us through all these applications and so whatnot. And it's very frustrating for the residents when they can't get help immediately. And it's frustrating for us because we are trying to help our community, and things get thrown, I guess, down, or back, and we aren't able to. So yeah, I think, my thing is always to try and come in and make things happen, help improve the environment, and get people, motivated to get things done.
And one other thing that is important is the presentation. Your ideal may not be somebody else's ideal, but you have to make it a way to get them to understand your vision and how it can be fruitful in the future, for the residents and the incoming people that come in our area. One of the big things prior to you getting here was the beautification of Brunswick. We always said that, we have to come travel through Brunswick to get to either island. And one of my things is to see the beautification of Brunswick, and maybe people will stay a little bit longer before they do get to their final destination of each island, and drive around and walk around or bicycle around and see what Brunswick has to offer. It's a very
Yeah,
diverse city.
I think I mean, that's very key. You are definitely right. When someone looks at us, we want them to see a very fresh picture of what Brunswick is, and kind of give a very great impression. I'm happy to say that we are doing some new signage that's going to be going up soon. We had a meeting with GDOT the other day to talk about finalizing the signage plan. So it'll be some signage that we'll be putting in place that'll kind of give, better direction, and kind of give a fresh new look to some of the streets and stuff. Because right now we don't have any signage. All the signage is old. It's washed up. So we really want that picture to be clear as to where things are and where places are. And it just will give a new fresh look. And you're right, as far as the visitors that we have coming in this community, we want them to have a good impression of what Brunswick is, and that it's inviting. And that, yeah, I mean, I as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, I went bike riding again with the chief, and it was so fun, and it was nice to just see the community, but it also showed me some areas, that we definitely need improvement.
Yes. Speaking of community, I heard about the community orchids. Can you explain a little bit about the community orchids and where and what parks we can find them in?
I'm not sure of exactly which parks they're in. I know they put them in, I think, 7 parks. I know Orange Park is one of them because I went to the dedication that they did at Orange Park. But these are the Keep Golden Owls Beautiful initiative, and they are putting in neighborhood and community orchids, which are just wonderful little additions to the parks in the city. It gives them a good look. Hopefully, they'll be bearing fruit and people can just walk by and pick fruit and enjoy the fruit. And I hope people get the message that that's what's they're there for, is for them to engage in just eating those fruit when they go to the park. I hope that we can take care of it and people will take ownership of the orchids and see how beautiful, and how engaging it could be. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure which parks they're in. I know it's 7 parks that we've approved for them to be in. Orange Park is one. I think a Goodyear Park, I think, is one of the others. But yeah, just around the city, we have several different parks that they've been planted. And Keep Golden Owls Beautiful is, it's their initiative, and they certainly should be applauded for, this addition to the community.
I have some of the listing of the parks. It's Perry Park, David Griffin Park, A. Brown Park, Goodyear Park, and Howard Coffin Park. What fruit will they be bearing?
I think most of them are oranges. Some have grapefruit. And I think the mayor, I remember him asking, I think it was about kumquat or something like that, but I don't know if they have any kumquat on there. But I think oranges and grapefruits are the primary fruit that they'll have.
I think that is so awesome. I traveled to Miami a few years ago, and I think of it as the Garden of Eden. I mean, there's just fruit trees on private property all over the city, and you just see the coconuts and the fruits just hanging down. I think it's just beautiful.
Well, one of the things I was telling the Golden Owls people when we met was that, when I was a little girl, we could be out in the neighborhood all day long and we wouldn't have to go home to eat because there would be blackberries, there would be plums, pears, apples on trees, and we'd eat all of it while we were out during the day and wouldn't even have to go home, while we were out playing. So I think, that would be great if the community could have that kind of, I guess, resource in the parks that we have.
And you know what? A few other cities, including Philadelphia, New York, they have incorporated that, but they basically did it along walkways where homeless people are, where you would see them frequent. So as we delve into kind of handling the homeless population in our area, I think that's a great idea for them to reach out and get something nourishing. Um, right now, the city is heating up for our mayor and city commissioners candidate. Can you speak about it and how is that coming along? Have you met all the candidates that are going up for these positions?
Well, yeah, I've met most of the mayoral candidates. I think I've met Mr. Riddle. I've met Mr. Perry or Reverend Perry. I've met Mr. Figueroa. I briefly met Mr. Cosby at an event that we were going to. The other three had come to my office and kind of sat down and talked with me. And of course, Vince Williams, he's always around. He's as a commissioner. Certainly, I've talked to him on several occasions. I haven't met the Miss Kendra Nickel. Is it
Roll, Kendra Roll.
Roll? I haven't met her yet. I know she's running for the commission seat. But yeah, so I think it's interesting that we have so many mayoral candidates, but it's good because we have people interested in local government and wanting to make a difference. I hope that that's the I guess common thread and common theme in the people who are running is that they want to, promote Brunswick and continue the improvements and growth here in the city.
When it's that many people running in the race, whether it's mayor or city commissioners, is it most likely that there will be a runoff?
Yes, I think, when you look at it, I mean, and I always look at what the population is of a community and what the votership. So, with us, it's 16,000 people who are residents, and usually about 40% possibly of that would be, basically voters or voting age, not necessarily voters, but voting age, and possibly registered to vote. So if you look at it that way, that's pretty much only about 6,000 people, of our 16,000 that would be voting. And then when you look at voter turnout, according to what the race is, if you got 6,000 people and you only have a 30% turnout, that means you got 1,800 people voting. So, it is a small number of people who will be choosing, the leadership of the community. And then again, if you got 1,800 people voting and you got 5 candidates, then you only have, 300 to 400 people, you know, relatively making 300 to 400 each candidate. So it will be an interesting dynamic to see. And generally with vote races like that, yes, a runoff is likely, very likely.
You touch a little bit about your bike tour. Was that something you planned, or was that something Keith Jones surprised you with? And is that
Well,
something that you will do in the future?
oh yeah, I mean, the first time he asked me, this was my second time going out. The first time he asked me, I was so excited about it, but I was really kind of hesitant because I had not gone biking in years. So I was really like, okay, you get older and you think you could still do these things, and here you go thinking about it. And but when I went biking, it was so nice. One of the things I realized is Brunswick is totally flat. And it's so easy to bike because you don't have any inclines and hills and things like that. So it was really refreshing. And it's, even though it was hot, it was breezy. And the streets are really calm in certain times of morning, where the side streets where you can really just bike without having a lot of vehicle traffic and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really nice. I mean, even though when he asked me, um, this is something you'll find out about me. I'm always going to try. I'm very adventurous, and I'm going to try just about anything. I mean, there are very few things. When one of my previous jobs, I was an arena manager for a long time, and we had an ice skating rink because we had a hockey team. So I would get out and go ice skating, some mornings during work, just to get out on the ice and be refreshed. And actually, we had a football team, an arena football team, and unfortunately, I did get out to play arena football. We tried, and about 5 minutes after I got on the field, I broke my leg. So
No.
that's another story. But anyway,
And so, they just passed a law for the bicycle riders in the city. Is that correct? And
yeah, there was a state law that went into effect on July 1st. And basically, it's just to, help support cyclists. It's to, make it an infraction for vehicles to be speeding, going too fast around cyclists. For them, they have to kind of clear the lane or get at least 3 feet over from the cyclist. This is because, the state is really trying to support and help, hopefully, decrease the amount of cycling crashes and cycling accidents and fatalities, pedestrian and cycling fatalities. The state is really trying to minimize and decrease those kinds of incidents. So cars are supposed to slow down to at least, I think they're supposed to go 10 miles less than the speed limit if a cyclist is present, and also get out, get into the far lane to go around the cyclist.
So, is there laws for cyclists who don't follow the law? Because there are cyclists sometimes that do go the opposite direction of traffic. So, if you're going to give us a citation for not following the rules and regulations, what about cyclists that don't follow the rules and regulations?
Yeah, I think there are, cyclists that do that. I kind of see, sometimes it's hard, I think, because people are so afraid that cars are going to come up behind them, speeding, and they'll not be able to get out of the way or move and that kind of thing. So that's why sometimes you see them biking, going in the opposite direction. I believe it is an infraction, but I'm not sure if the police will always engage in that practice, because it doesn't happen all that much. So I don't know, but I do think, they are supposed to follow the rules of the road as, same as a vehicle.
Has the city come to an agreement of how or if you would redo Gloucester Street?
Yes, we have. We actually, that in actually was kind of interesting to me, because when the Gloucester Street improvements came about, I was under the impression that the commission was, had already approved the project. It was already, because Gloucester is a state route. So it's actually GDOT, the Georgia Department of Transportation, that has jurisdiction over that street. And, normally their process is to go through and, present designs and information to the local government. And then we are to, say yay or nay, it's in favor and that kind of thing. So because this project was so far along when I got here, I thought that the commission was all in favor of what was happening. And because it was actually already going out for bids for the contractor. So usually, they don't send it out for bids until everything's gone through the approval process. So again, I was under the impression that, everything was approved, and all we were doing was working with them, because a part of the project, there's a part of it at the intersection of 17 and Gloucester that we were going to redo as a part of a city project, which had the Lanier Boulevard intersection and that Gloucester intersection within it. So what we started doing was saying, hey, we want to try and minimize the disruption of traffic. So while you all are doing your project, we'll try and do our project at the same time, so that we won't both be causing traffic interruptions. And when we started doing that, we took that information to the commission and found out that they had not approved the GDOT part of the project. So that's where all the confusion came. Because when I went to ask them about, finalizing our part of the project, they were like, well, we don't even know about this other part of the project. And I was like, really? So we had to go back and kind of get that particular part approved. And of course, the GDOT design initially was to decrease the lanes on Gloucester Street from 4 to 3, all the way from 17 to 341. And the commission was not in favor of that. And that's why they basically said, I'm, we don't want to decrease all the lanes the whole way through. So we had to go back and try and negotiate with GDOT to change the design and work to, kind of come up with something that the commission would approve. And what we did was, the final design was to have it 4-lane from 17 to Martin Luther King, and then 3 lanes. It's going to be 2 lanes, a center lane, and bike lanes, pretty much from Martin Luther King over to 341. So that was the kind of the compromise that we came up with. And right now they had to do a redesign of their striping and everything. So they've gone back to the contractor to, get the pricing changed and everything. And they're kind of trying to work that out so that they can start the project.
Okay. Um, Magnolia Park reconstruction is underway.
Hmm.
How is that coming along? Are
It's
they
coming
going to
along.
are they going to get sidewalks and everything like L Street and pipes replaced?
Well, all of the, I know that the water authority has gone in, and because part of that project was to do repiping of all the water pipes and everything. So the water authority has gone in and, pretty much, I think they're maybe completed with their part of the work. And we are going in and redoing all of our drainage and, sidewalks and things for the city. So I'm not sure of the specific design of, because when you put in sidewalks, you have to have the proper right of way to do so. And I'm not going to say that all of, you know, I'm not sure of what the design is because, the roadway has to be a certain width. And then in order to put in sidewalks, you have to have an additional right of way. And I'm not sure if they were taken away, because again, that infringes on people's yards. Even though, you own property, there's a certain amount of your property or the property that's you consider owned by the property owner, that city right of way. So I'm not sure if they are going to take up, right away for sidewalks in that community. It may just be where they put in curbing because of the width of the road and that kind of thing. But even if you have nice curving and drainage in a community, it makes it a world of difference. It's just like the community that I lived in Macon. We didn't have sidewalks or curbing, but of course, in a neighborhood, you don't really need the sidewalks put in the neighborhood. The curbing would be sufficient because you kind of, in a area where it's not necessarily you're kind of in the street a lot.
Now, Magnolia Park is an odd design. It has side streets, the main roads. Is the whole subdivision going to be re paved or regrounded the streets, or is it just certain streets?
I think no, there were phases of it, but I think all of after all the phases are finished, then the whole neighborhood should be resurfaced and have new roads and that kind of thing. There were, I'm not sure which roads they started on, but they did have, phases of the project. But after everything's complete, yes, the whole subdivision should be resurfaced, and every road in there should be new roads and new drainage and new water lines put in.
Now, the hot topic is College Park. They are building that child's dentistry on the outskirts of College Park. But is College Park? I have a two-part question for you. Is College Park in the near future going to be redone like Magnolia Park? Um, and yes, is that going to be redone? And how did it get to be picked that Magnolia Park came before College Park? How did that all come about?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how the priorities were set, between the two areas. I know that the College Park area has a project, it's a joint project with the city and county. And the impact of the outfall that's in the county has to be done before the city's part can be done. Because we've asked, can we go ahead and make our improvements? And they have told us that it wouldn't make a difference for us to make our improvements if the improvements that needs to be done in the county are not done first, because those have to be done in order for there to be proper outflow from that subdivision into the area, the canals and the areas that, the water will have to go. So we are trying very much to push that project along. We have a meeting coming up, I think this week with DCA to see if they will free up the money that we need to get that project started. And certainly the county has to do their part first. And then the city, we're going to be just shovel ready. And as soon as we get we can get to start our part of the construction, we will. But again, I'm not sure, the priority of those projects were set before I got here. So I'm not sure exactly, what was the reason that Magnolia Park was done first and then College Park. It may have been because of the complexity of, because when you get into the county areas, you get into other right of ways, you get into property ownership, outside of where the normal right of ways are. And there may have been some complexities with the College Park project that we didn't encounter with the Magnolia Park project. So that may have been the reason for the priorities being set the way they are, but I can attest to exactly why, because it was already in place when I got here.
So is that by design that the county has to do their part of the street before the city?
It's just only because of the way that the drainage is designed to flow and the area. It's kind of like, okay, if you have the county's part is the outflow to the canal and to the areas out, to the marshes. And if you have a small, let's say you have a 2-inch diameter pipe in the county, it doesn't matter if we put in 18-inch pipes in the city. If you still have that 2-inch pipe in the county, you're not going, you're only going to cause a problem by having bigger outflow from the city to that 2-inch pipe. So that's the reason that the county has to do its priority, because it has to widen the flow out to the marshes, out to the canals, in order for us to improve the water flow from the city.
And this is why it's so important to have these type of conversations, because everyday citizens don't know these things, and until they get involved of the operation and the daily doings of the city governments and the county governments, they won't know. And that's
Yeah,
why I'm
you're
so blessed.
very correct on that. Sorry to cut you off, but you are so correct. Because people think about it and they think it's a simple process, and they think this is being hampered for some reason other than the complexity of the process or the project. And it really is a lot that goes into projects like this. It's amazing. I worked on a project when I was back in Macon. It started in 2001, and that project didn't come to construction until 2018. And it is still being done right now. So it took 18 years for that project to even go through all the design, all of the complexities of it, and it was a major project, but there was not a lot. I mean, there was a lot that went into it, but it wasn't that, they weren't paying attention, or they weren't trying to move it forward, or they weren't, doing it effectively. It was just so many decisions that had to be made. I really, during the course of that, kind of gained a great respect for the DOT because of what they do and how many, things that they have to deal with in the project designs and project con, construction that they have. I mean, it's always some environmental concerns. There are always, some, you have to look at historical aspects. You have to look at the impact on the community, on the citizens, and then you have to look at traffic patterns and the redesign of traffic patterns. So, there's a lot of complexities that you just can't make decisions overnight with on some of these projects. And I think that's what, happens when the community, and I get a little frustrated too, because it's like, it's hard to move something forward in the time frames that we want, instead of in the time frame that it needs to happen.
And that was the same thing with the splash that we talked about the last time you were here. We do a 5-year splash. Is that understanding? And when we do the splashes, we think that that money is going to come out as soon as that money is collected, but we're preparing for the years down the road of when to use it. And so it's very interesting, and I'm blessed to be able to bring this type of conversation into the community and let them know that we're just not sitting on our hands, and you're just not doing what you're not doing, but everything has a process.
Yeah, and part of that College Park process also is we had some houses that had been identified that were going through an application process. And I kind of got in again trying to move it forward for those houses to be the mitigation process to be completed. And one of the things that I learned, because I was expressing just my frustration with GMA on them, the process that we're going through, and the fact that this is recovery from Irma, which was I think 2017, which now is about 4 years ago. And when I told them, I was like, why are we 4 years after a disaster, still trying to mitigate or still trying to resolve issues for these properties? And what they told me was that the normal process for when they have a disaster is they have a period of what they call immediate relief. And during that period, it's either 6 to 12 months after an occurrence of a disaster. That's immediate relief. Then they have a part which is 2 to 3 years of trying to mitigate it through insurance and what the insurance companies and what the insurance will take care of for a property. So that gives us first the relief part, then the insurance part, which is 2 to 3 years. And then they said from 3 to 5 years is the recovery. And that's what we are in now, is what they consider recovery. So they don't feel like we are behind in the process at all. They feel like we're on track because we're 4 years in and we're trying to seek, recovery. So once they told me that, it was kind of like, even though I was not necessarily, satisfied, I kind of understood how they were managing the efforts of, trying to resolve the issues with the project. The property. So it kind of gave me, I guess, like I said, I wasn't necessarily satisfied, but at least I understood that their understanding is we're in that 3 to 5 year recovery and we're 4 years out. So they felt like, we're, as we have planned, gotten this process going through,
How
which again, you
how
know,
is Go ahead.
residents don't, that's the thing residents don't understand. And like you said, this education piece is so critical when you're dealing with projects like that.
Yes. How is the city holding up? Do you believe we're in a post-COVID recovery, or how do you feel about it? And how is the city holding up after the COVID pandemic?
Well, it's kind of iffy. You keep up with, as I have tried to keep up with what has come out, in terms of the nation. And, we have to kind of continue to watch not only our community, but the state and the nation, because as these occurrences come, even if we slow down, people are still coming into the community from all over the place. So you just never know where we stand. As far as the city is concerned, we have been, very blessed in terms of not having a very adverse impact on our revenues, on our, the people coming in and things like that. So at this point, we're in a good recovery from COVID. However, if things turn bad again, we may have to go through another downturn in our economy because of, if they start having to close restaurants again. It's going to be impactful if they do that, because some of the restaurants are barely coming back as it is. And if they have to go through another downturn, then it is going to be very impactful for the community. So, it's something that we're watching really closely. At this point, we feel like we're holding our own. We're hopeful that people are getting vaccinated, and kind of this virus will be kind of, showing signs of going away soon. But yeah, we're just kind of watching to see and hopeful that we won't have to have any great economic downturn again.
This is the 4th of July weekend. What is in plan for the city for the 4th of July holiday?
Well, there were a lot of activities going on in Mary Ross Park this morning. I actually took my little dogs out for the dog parade and we had a nice time. It was a good number of people out this morning. I'm glad to see the weather has held up. It did look like it was threatening rain earlier, but it seemed to have held off. So I think the activities that they had today, went ahead. Tomorrow they have I think a cornhole tournament. They have watermelon being given away downtown. And we have brought back our fireworks. So the fireworks show will be tomorrow, down and around Mary Ross Park and downtown. So they'll have a lot of activities going on down there. The farmers market was open today still. So, they had a lot of activities going on down at Mary Ross today. And hopefully I encourage all of the citizens to get out and just really enjoy the things that the city, has. Any activity we have downtown, I want all of the residents to participate in. And one of the things that I have been doing and I want to continue to do is to go out to the MPAs and make sure they are active and they are participating. And, I really want people to kind of get out of their community. I want them to go downtown and enjoy the things downtown, mingle, talk to people, and make sure that the residents from other MPAs, if there's an activity that's happening over in one of the neighborhoods, that the people from downtown and the historic areas, they can come out to those areas, as well as the people from those, the Midtown or Goodyear MPAs going downtown to things, so that we can kind of just get everybody feeling with the community, feel, so that, if there's a activity that's happening over in Urbana, then the people from historic feel like, okay, I'll go over and support that. And then the same thing happens, for people, if they have something in the historic, that people from Goodyear and Urbana can go, and support those events.
Can you briefly tell the people that are not aware of it about what the NPA is and in what area of Brunswick that they can attend an NPA meeting?
Certainly, we have several MPAs in the community. And I'll have to say, I think this was an initiative by Commissioner Harris, from what I'm told. And basically, the MPAs are these, what they call neighborhood planning associations. And they have we have 6 of them in the community. And they were established basically to have the opportunity for the community to have input into local government. I'm not sure how long ago they were established, but I think a couple of years they have been meeting. We have one in the Goodyear area, one that's historic Brunswick, which is kind of the downtown, the south end of the city. We have Urbana Park, Perry Park area, which is on kind of I guess it's a midtown on the east side. We have a tri area, the Magnolia College Park area, and then the Midtown area. And again, I have been trying to support these MPAs because I want them to work, in conjunction with the city, because everything we do, is public, and we're always trying to get public input. And if we have good, strong neighborhood associations, then when we have things going on, I can send out communications to the neighborhood association. They can send it out to their mailing group, email group. And, technology is such a wonderful thing because you can reach so many people through Facebook, social media, email. And if they can send out stuff on their, to their people, then I can get words out to over 300 to 400 people just by connecting with the MPAs, which I think is a very good representation of the community. So, these groups, I'm hoping will, some of them, I don't know if they're meeting again after COVID, but I'm hoping to encourage them to meet and to increase their, membership, or people who they have on their mailing list, or put together a Facebook page. I don't know. Have you been on our new website yet?
The new city website? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we have
It's
a
so
part of.
nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We are working really hard, and I'm trying to make sure the staff is keeping it up to date. But we do have a page on our website, and I'm going to try and share my. No, I can't share my screen. But on the website, the MPAs do have a page, and you can get to the Facebook page of some of the MPAs through our website. I'm hoping that the ones that don't have a Facebook connection will put, some information more on there, so that they can, people can sign up to get email correspondence and that kind of thing through the MPAs.
Right. And they can, and not only that, they can get it through Instagram or Twitter if that information,
Right.
if they're not on Facebook.
Yeah.
On Facebook. Well, Miss McDuffie, thank you so much. It's always good to have you back. And what can we expect for the city in the near future? You'll be back in September after the commissioner's race and the mayor's race. So I will have lots of questions then. So, what can the people expect for the city in the near future?
Just us moving forward. Again, there are some housing initiatives that we're looking at, and hopefully getting started with those. There will be, we have the American Rescue Act money that we're trying to make plans for, to determine how we will spend that money and how we will use it to impact the community. So hopefully we'll have, some recommendations on that, and moving forward to help with the local community and the business community, and just a lot of different things. There's so much going on. I encourage, people to just tune in to the commission meetings, because we still will have the, I think, Facebook feed and the video, where you can get online to participate in the commission meetings ongoing. But we are meeting in person now. So we do have our meetings at the old City Hall building now. So those will be going on. But I just encourage people to continue to listen out for all of the things that are going on in the community. The last thing I'll mention is, I hope if you have a dog, we've done some improvements to the dog park over at Howard Coffin. I'm really pleased with, what we've done there, to put in some new amenities. So, and the new playground, I passed it yesterday at Howard Coffin, and it was full of people. So, we're hoping to just continue the improvements throughout the community.
And there you have it, Brunswick, from our city manager, Regina Duffy. I welcome you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel or upload this video on my Facebook page. And until the next time, have a blessed weekend and a blessed 4th of July. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
McDuffie.
Thank you.